And now for your feature presentation, another entry in Tales from the Beyond.
Sharp-topped Sasquatch. After the warm response we received from the story of our very own personal experience with the unexplained, I felt it was only fair to share with you the first of many events that happened afterwards and continue to happen leading up to today. Once again, this happened when I was alone. Now, I know sooner or later the skeptics amongst you will voice your doubts with the lack of eyewitnesses or hard evidence. To you, I say this directly. Next time, come with me. See for yourself. After losing Brad, I took a few weeks away from work. Every time I stepped foot into the office, I was reminded about that night. The sympathetic looks only served as a reminder that it was my fault he didn't return home that night. I spent the days roaming my apartment, keeping my hands and mind busy with little DIY jobs and long overdue paperwork. When night came, I sat blankly staring at the PC screen. I couldn't tell you what I was searching for, but I know I was looking for something. That's when an advert popped up on one of my regular sites I frequent. Come walk in his footsteps. Trek the trails of Sharp-Top. You never know. You might come across Bigfoot. Enjoy the views. Take in the scenery. Get away from it all. Sharp-Top Trails was somewhere I had always planned on visiting but never gotten around to. Only an hour away from Roanoke and home to the alleged Bigfoot, I couldn't call myself a paranormal fan without being intrigued by the place. With a deep breath, I booked myself a ticket, packed a bag, and lay down waiting for morning. I needed a getaway to hopefully clear my mind, and if I could grab a few snaps and local stories for HCP, then even better. I was already beginning to feel back to my old self. Maybe this was exactly what I needed. The bus was booked for 6 a.m. I was at the station at 5. One thing I found was that when you rarely sleep, you find yourself with a lot of time on your hands. We all loaded into the bus and set off for Sharp-Top. As we arrived, the morning birds were still in full song. The sounds of nature welcomed us along with the crisp morning air. I took a deep inhale, picked up my backpack of supplies, and headed off on a trail. I chose a trail that was not along the route of conveniences, like pit stops for toilet breaks, and picnics to avoid families on days out and the casual hiker. It wasn't long until the sound of excited children running around after being cooped up on the journey here had completely disappeared, and I felt truly alone. I'll admit, after everything that had gone on, I don't think I would ever feel quite that relaxed again. It was like everything just melted away. I made my way higher into the mountain. My decision to not stick to the path was about to be my downfall. Literally. A small rock formation sat ahead of me on my makeshift trail, with a sheer rock wall to the left of it and a precarious steep slope to the right. I had no choice but to attempt to climb it or go back. At its highest point, it was no more than 7 feet tall, but with the surroundings being so unsteady, any misstep could be dangerous. I placed my foot on what I assumed to be a safe foothold and attempted to hike myself up and over. As I put my weight down, my foot gave way, sending me face first down to the ground and rolling down the steep slope. I was knocked unconscious before I came to a stop. This next part was, and still is, a blur, but I seem to remember stirring just for a few moments to the sensation that I was being dragged. I opened my eyes, and as they adjusted to my position in the light, I could just about make out a huge figure gripping my leg, pulling me along. As I fell back unconscious, I distinctively remember hearing a low, guttural growl coming from this figure dragging me. Eventually, I awoke in a dark, dank cave. The wind swept up through the mouth of the cave, causing a harrowing howl to echo throughout its walls. The only light came from the moon in the clear night sky. Even from where I lay, I could already tell I was much higher up in the mountains than where I had hiked to. I had to place my hand on the wall as I stood just to steady myself. My legs were weak, and my head was throbbing, but I knew I needed to get out of there. My initial thought was to be wary of mountain lions, cougars, and such. But then, a more horrifying realization hit me. Who, or what, dragged me into this cave? I looked around, and my backpack with my cell phone in it was missing. All that lay scattered around the cave were the remains of various wildlife at different stages of decomposition. Retching into my mouth, I clasped my hand over my nose and mouth and headed towards the entrance of the cave. All I knew was I was alone for now, and I needed to get back down the mountain. Just to the left of the entrance was a well-trodden path that must have been made by the resident of this cave over many journeys in and out. The path was lined with matted, bloody fur, claw marks in the dirt, and a few scattered small animal bones. Whatever this thing is, I certainly didn't want to come face to face with it. I'd made my way no more than a few hundred feet when I first heard it, echoing out across the range. A noise halfway between a scream and a roar that sent fear right down to my bones. Like a deer in headlights, I froze, scanning the tree line for movement. I began to mimic woodland creatures, carefully placing my foot for each step, on high alert for a lurking predator. With every rustle of a branch, snap of a twig, I froze in place, while my bones ached as if my skeleton wanted to tear straight out of me and make its own escape. It was fight or flight, each time, and with every ounce of my being, I wanted to run. I made my way to a clearing, and with a deep breath, I jogged across it while keeping an eye around me. That's when I saw him. Bigfoot. I just reached the clearing's edge when I turned and saw the gigantic figure stood directly where I had entered the clearing. It was no mistaking he had come the same way I had. He stood no less than 9 foot tall. His legs were impossibly muscular. Even from this distance, I could see the definition. He resembled the almost body shape of a man, except his arms were much longer, gorilla-like, and matched their immense power. At first, I thought he was wearing some sort of camouflage getup, but it became apparent that he was head to toe covered in naturally thick, brown matted hair. His chest and shoulders were equally muscular. At that point, I realized I had no chance of outrunning or outfighting this thing. He lowered his head, hunched forward, and began stalking towards me at a slow pace. As he stepped into the clearing and the moonlight hit him, I could finally see his face clearly. Piercing human-like eyes, almost snout-like facial features, and as he growled, it revealed 2 rows of serrated teeth. I didn't fancy my chances. As a stroke of luck, in the distance I could hear what sounded like a search party. I spun on my heel and dashed into the brush. Branches whipped at my face, arms, and legs as I tried to put distance between myself and what I now assumed to be Bigfoot. I could hear it crash into the undergrowth from where I started fleeing and begin to bear down on where I was. I fought with all my might to get through the bushes. It was as if nature itself was working against me, holding me back, allied with the beast. I kept scanning behind me, hoping beyond all hope that I wouldn't see those eyes appear right behind me. My legs were burning from the inside. It felt as though I had fire coursing through my veins. I took another look behind at the worst possible moment. My foot landed on loose ground, giving way beneath me in betrayal of my escape. I careened down the slope, hitting my head on a fallen log, and once again, blacking out. I awoke on a stretcher in the park's picnic area surrounded by a group of hikers, local police, and medics. Apparently, one of them had found my backpack unattended and raised the alarm that I was missing. I have no doubt if they hadn't arrived, I wouldn't be here today retelling my story. I have no doubt what I saw. I know Bigfoot is real. No one will ever change my mind what happened that day. Maybe one day I will go back into the mountains, prepared for what awaits. But then again, much like the rest of nature that surrounds it, maybe man was just meant to leave it be.
Be sure to check out our website at hillcityparanormal.com. And thank you for listening to Hill City Paranormal's Tales from the Beyond. Signing off.